Hey everyone, it's Hazel West, and I'm here with my very first recommendations video. This one is a Halloween themed one, and I have 10 books for you that are really, really good Halloween reads. If you have been following my wrap ups for a while, you probably know that I really, really love horror and scary books of any kind. So, this is kind of like one of my favorite genres ever. So I hope I can help you pick out some really fun reads to read this Halloween season. The first one we have is a classic, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is such a good, not only horror gothic, but just a really, really awesome vampire novel. Because it's not necessarily the original vampire novel. There were several short stories and obviously the folklore that went back hundreds of years before this. But as far as a traditional gothic vampire novel, this is the one that everyone talks about for a reason because it's really, really good. Not only do you have a really creepy premise, but you have some really, really awesome characters as well. So, this one I definitely recommend highly if you're looking for something a little more classic. Then I have The Raven Boys, or The Whole Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. This series is all kinds of just weird and creepy stuff, and a lot of it, I think the first couple books, even though no, maybe they happen in the spring. Anyway, but either way, these books are really great Halloween reads because they just have like a lot of the stuff I like in like a Halloween atmosphere. Um, and apart from that, you have really great characters, and it's just a really really cool adventure fantasy, urban fantasy kind of even magic realism a little bit, but in that you have a very like kind of creepy twist to it all. The first two books especially, I think originally they came out around Halloween, and that may be why. But either way, they fit the time really well. After that, I have Shutter by Courtney Alameda. This book is definitely just straight up horror. It's about ghost hunting, which is always awesome. It's actually also related to Dracula. The girl in it is a Von Helsing, and so they're not only hunting ghosts, but there's some vampires thrown in, and there's a really awesome cast of main characters. So there's so much to love about this. Plus, the ghost hunting they do is really super interesting. Like the way they kill the ghosts, really cool. Or re-kill, I suppose I should say. But yeah, this one is not a very well known book, but I definitely cannot recommend it enough because I loved it. And it's super creepy. Even from the cover, you can tell it is really creepy. Then we have the Monstermologist series by Rick Yancey. This series is definitely straight up horror. It is set in the Victorian era, um, and it's about a boy who's apprenticed to a monstermologist who essentially studies monsters and sometimes hunts them. But this this series is not for the light of faint of heart. If you do not like really gory stuff, you probably shouldn't read it because it is extremely gory. But it has a really fantastic, like, classic gothic horror vibe, and it is definitely freaky sometimes. But the whole series is great. The first book is particularly um, a good Halloween read because most of it happens at night. So I would recommend these very highly. If you're looking for something a little more contemporary and psychological, I have The Creeping by Alexandra Siraway. This book I really, really love because it's not only um, kind of creepy and supernatural-ish, it also has a very like psychological thriller flair to it, like with a serial killer idea. So it's kind of like a supernatural episode of Criminal Minds. It reads like that, which is totally awesome. And you're never quite sure whether there's actually something supernatural going on or whether it's just whatever is actually happening in the woods is just done by people. And I love books like that with kind of an open-ended thing. So this one, but either way, it has like really awesome like folklorish stuff in it, and it's just really creepy, and I loved it. Very awesome. Then we have Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. This is a duology, so you could read both books, and both are equally good. I love this duology so much. Again, this is about ghost hunting, and this one's pretty, it was actually pretty scary too. With a little added romance on the side, and a really awesome friendship between the main character Cass and his his trio, who were kind of three unlikely friends, and but they ended up really getting along and taking this journey together, and I love that. So if you like, and on this note, if you do have already read Anna Dressed in Blood, try Shudder, because it's very much like that, and I think anyone who enjoyed this one will enjoy that one as well. The next one is a middle grade book, and that is The Thickety by J.A. White. This is a trilogy now, I think. So, there's more books out. I believe all three of them are out now, unless it's a series. This book may be middle grade, but it is actually seriously creepy. Like, it is almost creepier than some of the other books that I've had put on this list. It's all centered around kind of a maybe 1700s-ish town that, and like, that outlaws magic, typical witch hunting. It kind of deals with that. But it also deals with this, with the forest that's around it, which has some really creepy creatures, and is just really creepy. I mean, it kind of goes into Celtic folklore. It also is set around, like, the All Hallows Eve of this universe, so it's a perfect Halloween read. And anyone from 12 and up can read these, because it is really scary, so it's probably not for younger kids, but there's nothing else wrong with it. So as long as you don't get creeped out too bad, it's definitely a good read for anyone who wants to try it. Then I have The Dark Missions of Edgar Brim by Shane Peacock. This was a book that came out this year, and I've already talked about it a lot on my wrap-up and stuff. I love this book so much. It's very much an homage to the classic horror, like Frankenstein and Dracula. So, I mean, it not only is a kind of about those books, but it feels written like the same time period as well. It's a fantastic book, kind of like the teenage Dracula, essentially. And it's a perfect gothic Halloween read. And if you don't feel like slogging through Dracula, because it is quite a long book, then pick up this one, because it has the same vibes, and maybe it'll help you get into Dracula more later if you need help doing that. Another new release this year I have on this list is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This was a fantastic book. Even though it's not technically really Halloween-y, or even really like anything else you might find on this list, I think the gothic, dark vibes of this book are perfect Halloween, make it a perfect Halloween read. And you do have your monsters, even though some of them are incredibly adorable. But it's kind of more like um, big city mobsters and monsters that work for them. And then essentially, that's how I'd sum it up. But either way, this is a really awesome book. If you're not really into like classic horror or anything else, this is still a really good Halloween read for you. And the final book I have is the Lockwood and Company series by Jonathan Stroud. These books are fantastic. They're perfectly fine for anyone 12 and up to read. But I just love the characters, and they're really creepy too. These have actually creeped me out more, I think, than some other books that I've read. Jonathan Stroud is a fantastic writer with kind of a creepy atmosphere. So these are really good. I love the characters Lockwood and Lucy and George, and now the Skull, who's fantastic and hilarious. And I can't recommend these enough. I love them. They're one of my favorite series. So definitely pick those up this Halloween if you have not already. And that is the 10 my top 10 Halloween recommendations. If you guys have any Halloween recommendations that you love to read, please let me know in the comments. And if you want me to do more recommendation videos, let me know if you have any topics that you want me to recommend books for. So I hope you all have a really wonderful Halloween. Beware the homicidal phantom clowns, and just stay safe. Oh, the fairies as well, because it is All Hallows after all. So beware the fairies. Um, I hope you guys all get lots of candy. I always go the next day because it's the first day of Nano, and I buy all the half price Halloween candy because that's fantastic, and it's great for writing snacks. So, anyway, we'll see you with my next wrap up and book haul. So, bye.